From CBS 2 Los Angeles, Paul Majors, Laura Diaz, and Johnny Mountain with 2 View Weather. You're watching CBS 2 News at 5 in high definition.
Plus, a CBS 2 exclusive.
And to get that first hug and that first kiss that I remember, it'll always be embedded in my mind.
That was the most precious hug I've ever had in my life.
Oh my goodness.
A story of reunion and redemption. A daughter believed for decades that her mother had abandoned her, but when they finally found each other, the truth came out. And this story has a beautiful ending.
Tonight, a CBS 2 News exclusive. A mother and daughter spend decades searching for each other. And now, finally, an emotional reunion just in time for Mother's Day. CBS 2's Stacey Butler has their story.
I would say, where's my mom? Oh, she left you in the hospital when you were born. That was the story that I got.
It was a story that Sherry Cabana's grandmother and father told her until the day they died.
I never even knew her name. Holidays, Mother's Days, I was hating her. Why did you do this? I don't have a mom to spend Mother's Day with.
But as the years passed, Sherry never stopped trying to find her mom.
I started going through people searches, through Social Security.
Without a name or a date of birth, she didn't get far. By the time she was 20, Sherry had given up. But then an amazing discovery changed everything.
There was a bookshelf in my family home where I grew up after moving back from Indiana. It had a locked cabinet down in the bottom. All my years growing up, it was locked. And then when my aunt was deciding to sell the house, we were cleaning it out. And I was lucky enough to be the one that broke open the lock. And there in that cabinet was her Bible that her father had given to her when she was a child.
It was the only item Sherry had ever seen that belonged to her mother. She opened it up and couldn't believe what she saw.
Found her name and her father's name and her mother's name.
And her mom's birth date. She hired a private detective and spent thousands trying to find her. But after searching for 3 decades,
I did have my doubts that I wasn't going to find her.
Then, last summer, Sherry tried reunion.com.
It came back with a Linda Sawyer and a right birth date.
She sent her mom an email. It read, "Hope you have a nice birthday. I remember yours, whether you remember mine or not. Always on my mind." Linda wrote back, "If you are Sherry Lynn and your birth date is 9/21/57 and your maiden name was Gibbs, I never forget your birthday."
Oh my God.
A 5-hour phone conversation, and Linda was finally able to tell her daughter the truth.
I was 16 years old. I didn't have an education. I couldn't go out and get a job.
She says she asked her ex-husband to take Sherry when she was 2 years old for just a few months until Linda made it through high school. Instead, she says he left town with Sherry and his mother.
And one day I called and they were gone. I went to the house that they had lived in, and there were people living in it that knew nothing or wouldn't give me any information.
Linda says she hired 6 private detectives to try to find her daughter.
I knew someday, somehow if I lived long enough, that I would find her.
I just listened to her tell me her story. I was quiet, and then I cried. I said, "Thank God you didn't leave me, Mom."
Their reunion at the San Jose airport was caught on tape.
Oh my goodness.
And I said, "Honey, believe you me, I will know who you are." When she came off that plane, the moment I saw that little blonde towhead, I started waving.
And to get that first hug and that first kiss that I remember, it'll always be embedded in my mind.
That was the most precious hug I've ever had in my life. And I told her, I said, when I was pregnant, you were my best friend because I would sit and rock and rub my belly and talk to you and tell you all the wonderful things that we were going to do and that I hoped for you.
Now, 49 years later, their adventures have only just begun.
You can never make up, but boy, we can sure give it a heck of a good whirl.
This year, they will celebrate their first Mother's Day together in 50 years.
I'm going to live till she's aggravated with me. Just so we can have lots and lots of Mother's Days.
Oh, that's sweet.